Hey Peter, let's go and figure out what kind of improvements you made and where can we go from here. We're just going to do this with a little more raw, just looking at the actual clips themselves because you're generally on the right path, so we don't need to distract too much. Just go and give you a little bit of concrete stuff to keep working on. Uh, in the future, I think it would be better to send me around like 5 to 10 clips. Just lets me narrow in the focus a little bit more. And a good model for it is like send me your best one, of course. Send me one that you don't know that's like going wrong with, and then send me anything in between. Uh, for like 38 clips, really good to have, but it's a little bit more than the brain can really process for me in one go. So we're not really getting the full benefit, and then I risk going and not talking about one of the ones that'd be the most beneficial for you. So that's why let's keep it down to like 5 to 10 range, depending on the kind of clips you got. Obviously, if you have more that you really need talked about, that's completely okay. But that will just help me focus in. So let's go and take that and just focus in. I've watched through these a little bit already, but we'll just go and play them all through. Mm, good position, toes. I'm just right now waiting to try see one of the best ones. Oh, I actually wanted to talk about your straight airs just a little bit because we have the time. Uh, so for your straight air, I'm a big fan of doing the little bit of setup carve before getting onto it because it makes it easier to hold the edge. But we're sort of falling into a problem that we wouldn't want on our backsides bins, and that's where we're going a little bit toe momentum, changing the momentum with a little check, and then switching to toes. So just like you do your setup carve on the jump, the same principles for a straight air will really help. If you keep a gradual angle in, and then you have a gradual angle coming into your toe edge, it's going to be easier to control. But because you had this aggressive little kick, we're now coming off the angle, the jump, with your board slightly angled this way, and you need to counterbalance with your upper body and to keep it in place. And this is also probably having to do a little bit with you trying to do the shifty. So I'd really recommend, well, jumping. It is okay to let your upper body open, and it's a super normal part of jumping, but we don't want to have it fist open because that's going to shift your weight slightly to your front foot, what's going to make it a little bit harder for you in the long run. So let's keep this a little more squared off and try focus on getting a bit of a cleaner setup carve. Not the focus of this video, but straight airs are important for learning the jumps, so we want to make sure we're getting those really accurate and really clean because it's really going to help us figure out the jumps and limit our reps, and that's going to be really important when the season rolls around. Doo-doo-doo. Oh, nice. We have another one here. Let's see for this one. Yeah, so see, pretty tall here, and then you're going and using. Look at how far away your board is from your body at this stage, and then when you're coming through the spoon, you're going to need to rebalance that, and that's just really hard to do. And then as you're coming off, your upper body's opening, and this is making it so your board's angled a little bit, and see how you're sort of like angled towards this way now? That's just going to make it really hard to get a clean straight air because your knee should go angle, angle, completely straighten right away, going for the shifty. Uh, Pretty solid shifting, pretty solid in the air, and good control with everything. I think if you just delayed the motion a little bit, tried to get that more pop, it'd be good. Honestly, though, for the stale fish, a little bit of cheating with preemptive chest open is pretty okay. But you're landing a little bit tail heavy and heel heavy, and that's probably because you're angled this way. So see how you're expecting to land over here, but you're landing over here. So that's causing a little bit of drift, and because you have that toe edge and then you're going and spinning this way, that's just getting a little bit unbalanced, especially when you add a grab as technical as the stale fish. All right, getting into the sevens. Let's see the setup carve. Good setup carve. Smooth through the spoon. Onto the toes. Backside 360. A little bit heel heavy on the backside 360. Let's just go and break this down. This is going to be a bit of a longer, more casual one. You got coming in, snapping. And this is a normal part when you're learning sevens and you're learning how to add powers to like, how much power should I use? Uh, Yeah, here we can just see that you're sort of like crunching to your front foot, then looking with your head. So a good thing to remember when doing backside 360s is it's not about how hard you throw, it's about positioning yourself in a way that you can lead with your upper body. So what's happening here is you're not sure how hard you flow, you're tightening everything, but your back arm isn't leading. And instead what's leading? Your head. So see how your head's going straight and then it's looking down, but your back arm isn't pulling. So we really need you to be pulling with that chest, not the head. Whenever you're trying to go and get rotation and control the rotation, we don't want this to happen, we want this to happen. So just remember, pull that back arm, open the chest, and keep that head stationary. It's going to give you a lot more control, and it's not going to really speed up your rotation too much, and it will also give you more room for counter rotation, what's going to really help. The 7s are our main focus, so we'll go get one of those. Oh, nice. Yeah. Back arm, not really leading all the way. Leading with the head a little bit, not having quite enough range of motion. Like, for good frees, for solid backside 360s for sure, and there's a lot to like about them, but if we're looking for that high level consistency that we want to bring to the snow, we really want that little bit of upper and lower body separation with that upper body leading, so we can deal with any funk. That way, if we go really big or we go really small, it doesn't really matter because we can go and adjust. Oh, a little bit heavy on the toe edge. Good back 5 axis and good back 5 spot, though. Yeah, really good back 5 there. That's the thing with back 5s. You can get sketchy on the takeoff with them, but really a flexible trick. Nice. That's a good takeoff. Good transition. Good timing for opening up. Controlling it. Nice straight takeoff. Almost leading with the upper body there. Really close. Yeah, that's why you're coming in without quite enough balance, just because you're so connected and you're pulling with your head. Everything's rotating at the same time, and that's really limiting you here. But that was a fantastic takeoff, so really nice work. All right, nice little bit of cork. Look at you getting off axis, big dog. Damn. All right, setup carve. Plenty good. Good angle, good holding. Upper body. Dropping the shoulder a little bit. That's where that cork's coming from. Ideally, we'll get this hinge out of the body, keep everything straighter, and throw our chest more towards the tail. We want to try to get axis rotation cork and more rotation by throwing tall over the tail instead of dropping down. So this is why you're sort of dropping and scooping. See how your arm's like scooping upwards? This is very similar to like how Ben was doing his backside 720s. Good head position and arms pulling to lead. Nice work. I can see you actively taking that arm and trying to pull it in. Shoop! Gets caught up a little bit, but yeah, that's really close. I'm pretty sure you have a better one, so we won't stay on that one too long. Going in, snapping. Nice. That one seems like it came around pretty good. It's going to be a very similar... Let's see. So thrown down a little bit. That's why you're a little bit too off kilter there. And that's also why it's feeling a little bit awkward to probably pull and lead with that arm, because you're a little bit too corked off the lip of a jump. Going in, transfer in, wind up. Snap, pulling through. Can't really see the grab times. We'll look at the small jump in a little bit. Let's just watch this through and see. Wait for a good one. A little bit of a shit hook. There's going to be a way that we can now take your takeoffs to the next level. I'll cover that in a sec. Oh, yeah. Nice. Come on, Pixels. Let me see that head positioning. Whoa. Pretty good. Pretty good. Oh, nice. We'll be able to see the head good here. So, coming up, and see how your throw is sort of like angled down right here. Imagine if your upper body was just boom, and that would let you throw more like this towards your tail. It would be so much more powerful and easy to control. But let's see, grab. So this is the issue we're having, and the issue that we'll fix is as you're rotating, see how your head's now looking over the shoulder slightly here. This is actually where your head needs to be because of the axis rotation you're on. It would be really hard to keep things centered and be confident to pull in, especially when you're getting used to the motion. So For head positioning isn't as much there because it's the problem. It's more just because of the takeoff is making it a little bit harder. Uh, yeah, should be a pretty standard fix though. Very normal problem for learning backside 720s. Getting around, pulling through, tail heavy. We won't worry about it. Yeah. So this is just a little bit too corked on V7s because it's going to be really hard to spot there and keep your spot on the knuckle as you try to rotate through. So that's going to make it so you lead and start looking over your shoulder like this instead of keeping the head centered and rotating with the chest. Honestly, pretty similar problem we're having to the backside 360s. What's nice means that we'll be able to go and fix two key principles with one bird. Let's go and see if there's a better one on the small jump. And then we'll go and I'll give you your little bit of homework. Although, like I said, dude, be really stoked on your progression. This is years of work you're doing in the summer right now. Like, comparing the form to when I first rode with you, really awesome, bro. Back sevens took me like 4 years to figure out, and then I had to go and relearn them. That took like another 2 years, and I'm still working on them. One day last season, I think I did like over 80 back sevens in a day. So it's one of those tricks where there's always a little bits to work on. So the fact that you're coming around and getting them to your feet is the most important thing. The fact that you're building the air control, getting to your feet. And I used to, up until like, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago, I'd sometimes accidentally spot over a shoulder, and it all has to do with just being slightly too corked off of a lip. When you're slightly too corked off the lip, you sort of need to tuck it over. But it's really awesome to see that you have the air control to like know that you need to pull your head over to like rebalance to your feet. Like, that's really nice. So what we're going to be doing is improving your takeoff, expanding your range of motion, making you more comfortable leading with your upper body, and then getting you to take off a little bit flatter. I think if we can do that, we're going to have some serious success. Let's just see if there's a little bit of a better one, but I have a pretty good sense of everything that's going on here. Yeah, very similar. Very similar. Nice. Yeah, this is all very standard. This is part of learning backside 720s. And yeah, upper body almost there. Yeah, I think expanding your range of motion a little bit on the takeoff is going to really help you. Boom, coming around. These want to be quite ready to take on snow just because when you go and rotate this way with that back foot and then like finishing rotation all at once, you can land really hard tail heavy. What we don't really want to be doing, like here for landing, you could land really jolted heels and it just isn't very controlled. It's sort of like the same thing with the backside 360s. We really want to be like leading with that upper body so then we can counter rotate and finish and land light and catch ourselves. Where when you rotate and finish rotation with everything all at once, you don't really have any ability to catch yourself, so the impact and the little bit of mistakes can really mess you up, or going really big or really small is going to make it that's consistent. So there's a bit of work we want to do before bringing it to snow, but it's definitely in the horizon, and if we keep making progress like this, I don't think it's going to take too long. Okay, we'll use this one. This one's pretty good. So, throwing way better if your upper body towards your tail, that's awesome. What we need to take out of your riding now is this little bit dip forward. The way we're going to do this is on the wind up. So see here how as you're wound up, you're very angled this way. This is how I used to do the spin, and I only recently discovered how we can go and fix this, and that is by pushing your hip, this back hip, out and extending this leg a little bit, increasing the range of motion in your hips. Not only will this make it so you're taller, but it's also going to give you a more mellow edge transfer and give you another motion to do. It's going to make it so you don't hold the snap. Because right now we can see that you're sort of falling, and then as you're throwing, because you're on this angle, you're naturally going and being put on it. So there's not much you can do to get out of this angle from that position, unless you went and fully extended and lifted with your body, but then we're adding a couple too many variables. But what I really, really love to say, Peter, is the fact that you're boom right here, pulling the upper body all the way through 270, and then you're going catching up and grabbing at like 270 here. That's awesome. If you grab there, held your spot at the knuckle, took this back arm and pulled the rotation, like took this arm and really just freaking ripped her, pulled her really hard while keeping that head in that squared position, you'd be doing some serious back sevens. So that's the one thing that I want you to note here is this is a good enough takeoff and this is a good enough form that with repetition and a little bit of training, and if you implemented leading the rotation right here a little more with your upper body and pulling with your head or pulling with your shoulder instead of leading with your head, you'd be landing these back sevens pretty consistently at a high level. But we're trying to get you super polished form where you feel like you can do everything everywhere. So let's go and talk about that real quick. All right. So there's two pieces of homework I want you to do. First is the backside training I was talking about. We're going to come up, wind up, and throw over the tail like this, lead, and then hit here, and then continue that pull with the whole upper body. So that's a big difference. You're going and throwing all the way through like this, and then you're stopping and trying to look around your shoulder like this. What's just a lot slower, doesn't drive the power. So the big difference is you want to keep here, throw all the way around, 270 grab, and then this arm, you actually want to take it and rip it again. Rip it again, and that's going to pull your head along without needing to go and look up like this. So chin down, pulling for chest, wha-bam, like that. So I want you to just practice that motion, get really comfortable with it. And what's going to level up your takeoffs is this little motion. I literally just learned it this year, so this is it really helped though. So it's going to be a little hard to incorporate, but like I said, we don't need to incorporate it super good and right away because your takeoffs are already good enough. But to get to the next level, instead of going from like heels to toes like this, what's going to keep you on this rounded motion. Let me angle up a little more. The change is you go heels, toes, push out with the hips. So you take this back hip and push it like this. And it really feels like you're trying to like lift up that hip, even like stand on your back foot tiptoes, trying to elongate. The key for this is we don't want to be going and pushing both our hips up. If we push both our hips up, we're no longer balanced. So it's a back hip being pushed forward and extending feeling. And when you actually do on a snow, you're not going to get fully extended with the knee, so it's more like boom, boom. And we're just doing this because it keeps our edge in more place, a little bit stronger, opens the chest, keeps everything taller. And it's the difference between going from like heels to toes, where you're slightly leaned the whole time, to going and pushing it up and pushing those hips forward. Sometimes people call it flexing the glutes. You're coming up and flexing your glutes in, and that's just going to give you a taller platform to work on. So instead of taking off like this, where we have to go and drive through like that, instead we're taking off like that. What's going to give us a lot more powerful of a platform to come around, grab, and then rip it for the second part of the spin. So, really nice work, my dude. Do that couple bit of homework, and then hopefully in a couple weeks when you go to Banger Park again, you'll be stomping these more consistent. Oh, and for the backside 360, remember, snap the spin, keep the head steady, take your back arm, and rip it through, keeping that head stationary. We want to make sure that the upper body is leading the rotation, so when we're slowing down backside 360s, it's not by slowing down the throw too much. Instead, it's by making sure that we're relying on getting that upper body leading the rotation. It's going to help you big time. When I do a backside 360, I come up, big expanded angle, keeping my chest forward, slow snap, and then I'm pulling with that arm. And then once I'm here, I can then tighten everything and bring it together, or I can continue letting my upper body lead the rotation, it's going to be slower. So that's the two ways to do it. Once you're rotating, boom, pull, and then depending on where you are in the air, you can either tighten it or keep it loose in order to rotate slower or faster. So implement those, let me know how it goes, and nice work.